everyone. Okay, welcome to our City Council work meeting for Wednesday, August 13th. Got a busy agenda tonight, so we're going to push through. Start with 1.1, review of this evening's agenda. Any changes, comments? Seeing that we do have to finish our work meeting by 6:30 to go to our truth and taxation. So just a note of that. Future agenda items, anything from council? Seeing none, we'll go to 1.3, council discussion of future citizen recognitions. If you want to look into Kate and see if that. Else? Okay, moving right along. 2.1. City status report for June 2025 and July 2025. Trevor, welcome back. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
The cutest babies we saw yesterday.
Oh, in the spirit of having twins, I brought you two city status reports.
Wow, great segue.
Double the amount of reports and about half the information to share on them. The engineering group is going to cover the major projects and things in their quarterly updates, so that can be seen there. We continue to grow in terms of building permits, businesses, population. I think we did see a slight increase from June to July in our vacancy rate, 1%. So 5 or so homes that are more vacant than they were previously, but that number really does just kind of hover and bounce around 4%, which seems to be sticking for our city. The sales tax numbers are, as others have alluded to, sort of a roller coaster in terms of the amount that we get dispersed back to us. If you look here, sales, the month of April previous year was far higher, that kind of reddish orange line over the top of the bar, but then in May, May was higher than what it was last year. And so the proportion of, I'm sorry.
Is November always low?
Is November always low?
No, well, November was lower this year than last year. You'll see that we're getting some interesting, big spikes, and we don't know. I think you've followed up with them a little bit about maybe some of the variability.
Yeah, a lot of it is, double payments in one period that, should have been collected in a more smooth manner. That sort of a thing. The chart just below that shows that we really are kind of stabilizing right around that split of about 25% of our sales tax revenue coming from direct sales happening within the community versus the population piece. And so we're trying to, making efforts to increase the darker blue portion of that bar and just the bar overall with our commercial that's coming in. Yeah, happy to answer any questions or take feedback, things that I can bring back at a future point in time, if you have one.
All right. Love it.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it, Trevor.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to have you back, my friend. 2.2, discussion regarding progress of the Transportation Master Plan. Bryce?
Awesome. So we'll have our consultant talk a little bit about that, but before we do that, I kind of want to introduce where we're at on the Transportation Master Plan. So as you know, we've been working on a update to the Transportation Master Plan. There's been changes in having new PIDs in the area that impacts our impact fees. We've had a lot of change in road planning already. Seems like in Harriman we grow so fast that by the time we're done adopting the master plan we've worked on for a year, it already needs to be updated. So this is kind of twofold to properly plan and account for our growth and how we're gonna deal with the transportation needs of the city as we move forward. This is an early snapshot of where we're at. We're coming to city council to get some early feedback. We'll be back for, final recommendation and final adoption of the master plan, but that won't be for a few months after this. So the intent here is to kind of introduce the council to the project website that's open to the public. It's open to everyone on our website under our master plan page. And it's just the Transportation Master Plan 2025 update for the public to access this link to the website that we're going to kind of discuss today, and just kind of introduce the methods and where we're going as far as the direction of the master plan. And then we will take any feedback, and then we'll continually take feedback. This isn't just the only chance, that you get to give feedback. This will be a live project website, so email me anything that you kind of see later down the road. But yeah, we'll try to keep it as succinct and summarized as possible so that we can, stay within our realm on time. So with that, we have Ian here from WCG, who is our consultant on the project, and kind of kick it over to him to introduce the project.
Thank you, Bryce. As you mentioned, my name's Ian McGregor. I'm with WCG, and we're helping them put together or update the transportation master plan. So as he mentioned, we are working on like a big document, but we find that big documents can be hard to digest a lot of the time. So this website kind of breaks it up into more digestible chunks. We just call it like a story map website. So kind of like he says, you've got like your big chapters here. And obviously the big intent behind this is, we're anticipated to have large population growth, by 2050 to have over 116,000 residents. And so the goal of this plan is to help, communicate what are the transportation infrastructure needs of that. And so in this map in this website, there's kind of several sections you can look at, such as the different roadway cross sections that we're planning, and then as soon as this map loads, you can kind of see, okay, well, these are how many lanes are planned for this particular street, and if you want to just highlight these particular roads, okay, well, that's going to be 134th, and then there's the different types of roads that you can highlight. In the interest of time, I won't click through every single one of them. Instead, what I'll do is I'll just go straight to our projects that we've worked on. And again, this is a draft, but we found in our initial analysis there's a handful of both roadway projects and intersection projects that can be used to help accommodate the growth that's coming.
Yeah, and I'll say there's been a lot of work on, you saw some population numbers. We've been working with Trevor, and there's some Wasatch Front Regional Council numbers that we work with. And we really zoom into Harriman. So Wasatch Front and the rest of the communities kind of give us a good baseline to work from, and then we dive in and dial it in even a little bit more for Harriman specifically. And based on those population projections and employment projections, we get a model of traffic numbers of how many trips are going to be needed on the roads, and then we compare that to the capacity of the road, and that's how we develop kind of a project list. Is from this model we're seeing this road's going to fail in 5 years, we need to widen, or we need to build a new road, or we need some alternative options for people to travel, whether that's active transportation or transit, or wider roads or new roads. So that's the background on how we get to this kind of draft project list.
Yeah, and so as you said, this is our outputs from our model. You can see most of the roads are green except for kind of the ones that connect outside of Harriman. But then projecting population into the future, skipping down to 2050. When this loads, there'll be kind of a no-build side where if no projects are built, this is kind of what we anticipate traffic will be like. And then on the build side is if we build, these projects, then obviously traffic will be accommodated much, much better.
That's cool.
But you can kind of see how that works. And so with kind of this information, with like the no build, you can see there's some deficiencies, there's some red over there. And so from there, we create our roadway projects and intersection projects list. And so here we kind of start with roadway projects. They're all listed here. And there's both widening projects and new roadway projects, kind of represented by the dashed lines are the new projects, and then the solid lines are roads that are existing but we anticipate will need to be widened to accommodate that growth. One thing we wanted to bring before you this evening was kind of the timeline of these. In particular, this one project connecting into Bluffdale here. So as we scroll down.
Everybody take a deep
They
breath.
don't want to connect.
Yes, and we're pretty well aware of that. And so we currently have it showing as like
It's in the
a
computer,
phase
the
3
computer's
project,
on
kind
the
of
side.
more out in the future. That is something that we've highlighted. This would be beneficial to accommodate traffic in the city. Now, we don't show it as a phase 1. We show it as, between 2045 and 2050. So between 20 to 30 years away.
Yeah, and if you recall, we brought the transportation master plan probably 3 or 4 years ago, and the council at that time chose to push it as more of a vision project than as a phase 1 project. Now, I forgot to mention, we did also go to planning commission last week. They pointed out that that is not sufficient for our needs to push this project to a phase 3 or after 2035, 2045. So, based on that feedback, we agree the traffic numbers show a need to build that sooner, but there is some political sensitivity that we want to, be aware of. And so that's one of the big kind of feedback that we were kind of looking for from the council is if, based on our model, it should move up to phase 1, but we don't want to ruffle too many feathers in doing so. And so it doesn't have to be a hard answer now, but that is something that we're kind of looking for as far as guidance from the council.
That wasn't rhetorical, Lauren.
For a little bit.
Are you looking for
context.
discussion now, or you have more to go through?
Yeah, we would take feedback now at this point
On this one?
on that one, and then we can kind of just pan over any other projects that the council's kind of really got their eye on.
And as mentioned, this is a currently active website, and there's a place to submit public comment. So if you have time later to look through this and do have some questions.
Do you historically get very much public comment on story maps like this?
Quite a few, actually. People in Harriman seem to be pretty invested, so the way we've set this up, I'll show you here, but you can actually drop a pin and leave a comment, and we found that lots of people, or maybe one very informed person, has put quite a lot of pins and comments. So we've been pretty happy with the feedback we've gotten on this so far.
Those are all pins and comments?
Yeah, so if we were to zoom in on them.
Nothing on Puerto Rockwell though? Or can we zoom out to there? 'Cause I'm sure there's tons.
So let's see, where Rockwell.
Nope. Cool. Okay.
So they're good with it.
Well, it's,
They don't drive that way.
yeah, they must.
Yeah, and
Such a
additionally, we had WCG come out to Harriman Days, so they were out there with, at the booth, kind of receiving feedback. Yeah, here's some pictures of kind of big level, transportation master plan level concepts. And so, yeah, we kind of asked some questions to understand, would you like wider roads or a bunch of smaller roads, kind of more a smaller grid system or more of a major collector, minor local road system. So that informed a little bit of the projects, and we're trying to incorporate that even more on active transportation. But yeah, really, the transportation master plan, the essence of it is our project list. What comes out of this of how we're gonna build the roads and when we're gonna build them. And so that's really that if you get a chance to look on the website to kind of give your feedback and look at those are all based on when the model shows we need to do something or else the road will fail. And so that's the kind of colors on that map that we were showing earlier. Is red means it's starting to fail. Yellow and orange is it's getting close, but it's not failing. It's just a little bit busier. And then green is more, wide open.
So obviously this depends on the funding and the timing as well of how we can fund those projects, correct?
Yes, so
It may need to be done, but we can't.
yeah, the second half of the master plan, once we have our project list established, we do an impact fee study, which says, hey, all the phase 1 projects are eligible to be paid by impact fees. But we have to define of those projects, how much is actually growth related. Like,
Okay.
and that percentage, if the road only is 20% growth related, that's the only amount that can go towards our impact fee that we charge. And so, yeah, we'll come back on impact fees at a later time, once we've nailed down this project list to establish how we're gonna fund these projects.
It should go without saying though that being impact fee eligible is not the same as there actually being funds available.
Exactly. It establishes the fee that we charge, not how much we collect, right?
So on those roads that we may need that have some political capital there, such as that Bluffdale connection possible, that's gonna be long conversations between both councils and seeing what that actually looks like. Because as you know, the last one was pretty political, but well needed and wonderfully done. So, we'll see what that looks like.
Is this the only connection with Bluffdale that
So-
we're looking at?
Additionally, we have one right there that's also shown as a vision project to connect to.
Is that 148, that first one on the 3-1?
3-1 is Real Vista. That's-
144,
It goes
okay,
down
it
to
was like,
Bluffdale City Hall.
okay, I
Yes,
knew it was
yeah,
something
and then
like that.
144th, yeah.
Okay. And so, even when we drop, is it the corridors jumping onto the Rio Val Vista, or that's the other one, they're jumping on the other intersection down? Where's the interchange at from Mountain View?
Yeah,
Is it
so
Real
there's,
Vista?
yeah, there's
Okay.
an interchange at Real Vista,
Okay.
yeah, that's
Okay.
correct. That plan for the freeway.
I mean, it's easy for us because we're not in Bluffdale, right? Their residents will not. But it
Yeah.
should be connected. I mean,
And,
don't-
and,
So,
and we,
well, I push back on that a little bit. It's not the residents. A good portion of their residents want connection.
That's fair.
They want to come through. There's kind of an established ideology at the municipal level, we'll say.
I think they're worried that our residents are gonna go through there, when really I still believe it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Not at that location. On 138, there was a valid concern, and through the construction, obviously it's impacted them more, but once Banger's back open, that's gonna be almost obsolete except local traffic and school traffic.
And this same thing, they're gonna be going to Mountain View Corridor.
They're gonna be coming the other
Especially when
direction
there's
to shopping.
freeway interchange
Yeah.
there.
So I would like to see it in phase one. If I'm saying I would like, I mean, they know, they're not, it's no secret.
right, and just because we put it in phase one doesn't mean it's built tomorrow, right? That's a 10-year window, so that could be 10 years out. We would have to, make sure everybody's on page before we go forward with the project. This is more long-term vision. Do we see it way out, or do we see it in the next 10 years, I guess is
So
really what we're.
We do own the right of way already. So the city was deeded the right of way by, I'm thinking the Rosecrest Development or whoever, they deeded
Acquired
us
it.
that.
And our section of road is shown in the Wasatch Front Regional Council RTP for 2050, but once you hit the end of our section, it isn't shown in Bluffdale. They took it off their
So,
RTP.
excellent
Which has been
segue. I've been
requested from their side.
sitting waiting. I don't want to derail anything that's happened. I wish Sherry was here because she's been in the trenches with me about this for a long time. So a little bit of history, right? We own that right of way. We actually own the piece of land in Bluffdale, right? Opposite on the other side of the canal. We offered to sell it to Bluffdale, right? And we went through those talks. We had appraisals done, and they refused to buy it. We said, if you want to block that road, then buy it. I remember having talks with the mayor at the time, like, put a water tank. If you really want to block it, we'll sell the land at face value and put a water tank.
So there
That's
is,
really your goal.
there is a deed restriction on that when it was given to us, that when you own it, you must facilitate the road. That's ultimately why Bluffdale, they would have
Well, we
opened
didn't even
themselves
get
up
that
to
far. They just flat out.
Yeah.
They just flat out told us, no, we don't want to pay for it.
We do have a deed restriction on that when it was given to us by those developers. It said we have to facilitate that road.
So it's
we
kind
can't
of the
block
first
it.
thing is we actually own the land in Bluffdale on the other side to facilitate it. There's a lot of longstanding history around this going back to when Marcel was first created and put there. But then the segue, right, talking about the other plans, so it's on, our side of it is on the WFRC. One of the main reasons that we do these plans, that this is fantastic, it's a great step forward from what we've done in the past, right? Where we can create that project list for ourselves. But a big part of this, I mean, there's a bunch of these roads that we don't control, right? So not only does it be on our project list, but it helps us, having this plan in place, helps us get these other things on the project list for UDOT, for WFRC, for legislature, etc. So, that's a huge part of us having this plan and looking at the phasing. And yes, designating it as phase one, knowing that we have to jump through those hoops. But if we don't have it on our phase one, why would they put it on their project lists and work towards that?
I also think the visibility of our residents, even though we talk about this and we have it in our meetings and this public record, they have to search our records or dive through the packet to find it. This is a totally integrated mapping system, which is awesome.
Yeah, WCG proposed the kind of interactive story map website as we're going through the project, so it'll continually be updated up until the point where we come for final adoption. And then we will incorporate the final map into our website. They've actually built it into our GIS server, so nothing needs to be transferred. We can just have it, as part of our website moving forward,
So for what it's worth, yeah, my vote is yes, we put that on the phase one and we start having pushing those conversations, because the situation's much different now than it was 8-10 years ago, right? Where there was still very little there, and it was easy to say, well, it's not needed, and it's put more of a hindrance on Bluffdale than anything. Well, it's the opposite now, right? Their residents want to come that way to connect to transportation, so.
There was a bill this year, I think it was aimed at this, but
Yeah,
at least
it
said we
was.
have to identify
Interconnectabilities,
any
So I
road
said
that goes
legislature's one of those, right? Main ones.
Yep.
And I think we'll be forced to do a lot of this.
UDOT, WFRC, and
Hopefully it comes with
legislature.
money on that mandate.
All three of them.
It's the goal.
Okay, well, like I said, the website is live, so any additional feedback, feel free to go on there and send it my way. We'll incorporate it. Like I said, our timeline's to come back a few more months after we've finalized the project with impact fees and to discuss how you fund the phase one projects. Ian, anything else that you think we should cover with the?
I think the only thing we wanted to ask as well, so we also have kind of a connectivity section. So these are roadways that are not big plan projects. These are just kind of smaller local opportunities to improve connectivity within the city. And it was brought to our attention last week at Planning Commission that potentially there is opportunity for connectivity with Black Powder Drive onto Mountain View Corridor. Now, it's gated, but maybe that could become public.
Yeah, so, and we'll come back probably for a bigger discussion if the council wants us to. So the storage units that were just built had an MDA that, when the MDA was adopted, a condition was actually required that road was not a public access, so that it was gated. That, from my understanding, Blake, correct me if I'm wrong, that MDA is now expired, so it's over the requirements. They have gated it, right? And the road would connect straight through a right in, right out of Mountain View to the neighborhood. So we've heard, from some of the neighborhoods, like, hey, open it up, let us have access in there, where others of the neighborhood are saying, we don't want that because then it'll make our roads busier. Looking at the map as a whole, it doesn't make a lot of sense to really cut through there to get to 126 or 118th. It would make more sense to keep going on Mountain View, but in a construction closure like we've seen, there may be some additional traffic at that point. But the vast majority would never see that.
Well, I mean, and same thing, things will change in the future, just like you mentioned with Bluffdale. So right now, my initial reaction is it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to connect it, but when the freeway goes through the middle, it's not connecting to the freeway, it's only connecting to the frontage road, which is only northbound. So at some point, it probably will make sense.
Yeah, and we can bring that out for a kind of a separate discussion because it was an MDA requirement. That's what was required of the developer to gate that, but it does actually access from Black Powder to Mountain View. If you took the gates out, you could access in and out of there. So just another kind of thing to consider as you're looking through the master plan, if it makes sense to remove that requirement and remove those gates and open it up to the neighborhood.
So once you have the master plan, you have like the 10-year window and the list of projects in the 10-year window.
Yeah.
Is there like a prioritization process that happens with like ranking on like public benefit versus cost and
It's
all
you.
those factors?
Yeah, so not necessarily
Welcome to the party.
in the master plan, but as a CIP committee, staff will put together recommendation of priorities. That combines all the master plans and parks projects, water projects, storm drain. And then we'll come back and recommend those projects in budgeting for them. And then, yeah, council has the opportunity to say, well, let's move that up, let's move that down.
Okay.
So-
Trevor's gonna give us a Venn diagram of the metrics of everything, pros and cons.
Well,
So-
and
Yeah.
just to put it in perspective, that was one of my major frustrations early on, was how do we get some of these things done? So that's why I said, wish Sherry was here. It would have been my third year, her first year, she and I begged WFRC to meet with us and explain to us what the process is, right? How do you prioritize? And it was basically that answer was, well, we go through all this, we get the data and we make the recommendations, like, yeah, but then what? And the answer is, well, then it's the political part of it. There's only so much money, so these are our recommendations, but then the decision makers go and pick things out of the list, which is why it's important to have our priorities straight so that then we can take that to UDOT, WFRC, legislature, and go, because that's that same process with each one of those entities in addition to us, so, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And especially if there's outside money, we having them ready and our priorities line with theirs, it makes it a lot easier.
One last, I know you guys like my little Jaredisms and comparisons, right? So I'm looking at Lauren Ash talking to, say, Bluffdale's mayor. When I look at that, I don't know what the coordinate is on the road down there to connect through.
145.
144. It reminds me, the only thing I can think about, right, to put it in perspective for people, so when we're talking to UC legislature, Bluffdale, it reminds me a lot of that one or two houses that hold out next to the shopping mall, right? Everything's built in around them, and either you can, right, you can be part of it and get a good solution, or you're on an island, and it's gonna happen
I know,
anyway.
I know.
At this point, right? I
You
mean,
must have
it's
a
gonna
choice.
happen, it's just a matter of, yeah, do they wanna be involved in that process?
Yeah. And you get a lot of those, for lack of better terms, like sticks in the mud of like, they wanna be set in norm, this is what their normal is, and not recognize the greater good or the expansion of
One things, like I said, things have changed.
tremendously.
Okay, well, like I mentioned, the website will be live for a while, so feel free to continue to give feedback to email to me or.
Feedback, how does it come through tagged to IP addresses anonymously, how does that work?
The click it map, is that the feedback you're talking about?
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
know, it doesn't, it's
They
all
know who you are.
anonymous, I don't think
I know, yeah.
there's
Yeah,
any,
you can't hide.
any way.
Recording you on.
My VPN,
Yeah, I don't know how, the
Okay.
details of if we hired someone really,
If you wanted
good
to
at
data mine it,
tracking
you could, but-
it, yeah, possibly, I don't know.
but they're not putting in address, phone number or anything.
Right, no,
okay.
it's just a
Okay.
click it map and put your comment in, you
Cool.
don't need to, put in
That's kinda how the
information.
UDOT map is, so it's nice.
Thank you.
Hey, thank
Appreciate
you.
it, Ian. Thank you.
Do we lose our clicker? Or do you see it?
Yeah, just
the website to present.
Okay, appreciate you being here, Ian.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to 2.3, discussion regarding the proposed master development agreement with LTF Real Estate Company. Proposed commercial development.
Okay. We do have, I believe, John, do we have them online too? Okay. Dan.
Yeah, Blake, I am here. This is Dan.
And so LTF is Lifetime. Lifetime is the fitness center, and there's one in the state of Utah right now in South Jordan. This would be the second location.
World.
So locations off of 126 Mountain View Corridor. It's the big 14-acre field on the northeast corner. And this is the site plan. See, they have 102,000 square foot fitness center, outdoor pool, outdoor pickleball. And the reason we're talking about this with the council is they're proposing a master development agreement. There's 4 items for the MDA. Item 1 deals with the requirement for precast fence. Item 2 is signage. Item 3 is the materials on the building. And 4 is a reduction in the transportation impact fee. Most interesting one, the planning commission did hear this item last week and voted 3-2 to approve. 2 people that voted no were mostly concerned about precast fence and/or building materials.
It was a good discussion.
It was a pretty good discussion. So, item 1, minimum 6-foot decorative masonry walls required between commercial and residential users. It does have this out in the code. It says other fencing or landscaping techniques may be used to buffer other uses. So what Lifetime is proposing is an increased setback. So you either get option A or option B. Option A would be follow the code. It's a 30-foot setback, just regular landscaping and a precast wall. And the precast wall would probably be set, as we've seen in other commercial and residential developments where there's an existing vinyl fence. Precast wall would probably be built about 1 to 1.5 feet off of that vinyl fence, and you'd have a double fence. Because there's liability issues with getting in and messing around people's yards. So, you can see the 3 cross sections. This is the first one, A, B, and C.
Sorry, before you get too far, Blake, if you would mind, maybe rewind for some of those residents who are watching, for new members, potential new members, the council, why would we do an MDA versus, like, this is one lot, right? It's, why do an MDA versus them just go through the planning process?
So, they are looking for some changes to this
We
would
wanna do
require something outside
of what
the
our
code.
code allows, right?
It's a little bit outside the code. Impact fees in general have to be agreed to or approved by the council if there's any changes to that.
So if they just come through and make an application and go through the planning department, we normally don't see any of this, right? It just has to adhere to the ordinances. The only reason this is coming to us is they want something different.
So yeah, the option 1 was the code. They'd do that, and we wouldn't even be talking about this item, it'd just be following the code.
So the minimum requirement on
Minimum requirement, 30-foot
Is-
setback precast wall.
30-foot setback.
So what they're proposing is an increase to 50 feet setback from the property line. Leave the vinyl fence where it's at, construct a berm in that 50 feet, and vegetate. And so you can see in the cross section A, the berm is about a little bit shorter than the fence, but the landscaping's higher than it, so the berm's probably about 5 feet in this area in A. In area B, the berm is actually taller than the fence right along the building, and you have more landscaping there. And then area C, the way to flatten the pad out and get the parking, they actually would struggle to build berm there, so they're planning on just the slope, but that is adjacent to the city park, that's right there. And in the planning commission, I stated it was a HOA park. I researched that a bit more, and I was incorrect, it's a city park, so city's there. And part of the reason for that park is there are high pressure gas lines that run through that area. So a precast fence is probably not allowed in that because it takes.
On the city park side,
On the city park portion.
not in this location.
Not along the houses, but
Not along
on
the
this
houses,
far end by where C is at. So that's the proposal for item 1 is they want to, instead of putting a precast wall, they want to soften it up with landscaping and berm, leave the existing vinyl fence. Some of the concerns have been sound. I don't believe there's gonna be a difference between precast and vinyl with sound. They provide the same sound buffering. The vegetation will provide more sound buffering than the fence. And what are the other? A lot of commercial uses will have users like a gas station right up against the fence, and that's why we would normally require a precast fence. But this will not have users. There will be a wrought iron fence, or it's an aluminum wrought iron look-alike fence around the pool. So no one should be back behind that fence against the vinyl fence there. And this is all, I think, fenced off behind the building as well. So the only people that should be out in that area are maintenance people for lifetime. And then this side, you can see this swell, that's actually what this is, so there's extra buffer there, not actually a parking lot, it's a swell that takes water down to the drainage system. So that's item 1. Item 2 is the major corridor sign. We would normally allow this sign along in this site, except for they're not over 20 acres. They have to meet all 3 criteria, they're just not over 20, they're 13.6. And there was no way to gather more acreage. They do want to follow all the standards of a major corridor sign, they want to be able to build it, they just can't do it because of the size of the lot. I measured it, the planned sign for the auto mall is about 780 feet away across Mountain View. So they do meet the 500-foot requirement for that spacing. The cross sections, I think I've got it shown here, they're 45 feet above Mountain View, so it looks like a really tall sign, but that's because their site drops off.
So cute. And it's on their property.
It's on their property and it's a triangle sign, so
It's bi-directional.
so everybody can see it. So the backside wouldn't actually be allowed per the code, but there's a bunch of equipment in the sign, so they want to screen it, so it's just a static backside that just says lifetime, or the logo.
The LT livery.
So it's more of a cover than a sign.
And this is digital?
This
So
is-
they're looking-
these-
okay.
Both sides would be digital displays. So, yep.
So the only thing that's outside of code is the sign.
Yep, they would follow all those. Item 3, the building elevation materials. So, city council may grant an exception to the brick and stone requirement. They're also asking to go above the allowed stucco. We only allow 20% stucco per ethos. They're doing a bit more. I think they're more like 50-60% is what they were saying. This is a rendering of what their building would look like. They provided some renderings or pictures of buildings that they're currently doing in several other locations in the US. This is very similar to a lot of them. It's kind of a franchise look. They push the brick to the front, they have a lot of glazing and low level lighting, most of the signs are backlit, so kind of a pretty subtle natural look. So, are there any questions on the elevations?
So they didn't wanna have additional brick just to fit their look with their other stores, or?
No, their other stores are looking like this, the current ones are building. Their existing one in South Jordan is all brick, that was built quite a while ago, so I'm sure the construction costs went up back to that.
So it's mostly a cost factor?
They're online, so we can ask them if you want to.
It's always a cost factor. So that one I have a hard time with. I don't know and the previous discussions we've had with all these sorts of things when that was first put in the code. Brick or rock, well, there's lots of other materials that help accomplish, at least I feel, the same goal. What the intent I feel really was to not just have a blank wall of stucco and ephes stuff. So you see a lot of other developments where they incorporate, whether it's the hardy board or I don't even know I'm not a construction engineer guy. The
I'm
faux,
impressed you said hardwood.
right, the faux wood stuff, the glass, right, other architectural elements than just the stucco.
So I think for the front of the building, they've done a decent job on that. The back faces the all stucco homes, so they would match. But the back, they've pushed a lot of the materials around in the front and the sides. Let's see, the one side is the pool, so they have awnings and lots of windows on that. And so, yeah, they have some sign, and they took the signage, they really made the back really plain, because they're all.
It's going to the houses.
So do we grant exceptions like this very often? I just wonder why have a rule if you're gonna do lots of exceptions?
We have in the larger.
Yeah, we don't unless they come to us, right? That's a good question. And so if it's part of just a normal process, we would never make these decisions, but asking for an MDA or exceptions, that's where we would have.
The code has it right here, city council may grant an exception to this criteria if you're in a large commercial project. I don't know what large, 13.6 acres seems pretty large compared to what we normally do.
Yes, and they're usually not single tenants, but
And-
this one is a single
So
tenant,
it's
so.
And larger than
six square
40,000
footage
square feet.
requirements.
I think we kind of put
Basically, if it's
this,
big enough, is it worth it?
we put this in because the brick and stone gets
Real
really
expensive
expensive when you
real
get about 40,000.
You see, and my purview too is like, we're asking for these types of materials because the longevity and the lifetime of them, we know it's gonna look good in 20 years. Stucco or EFS can manage to get there too. I mean, we use it on our county buildings, we use it on our own city buildings. There's just not to this volume, I guess.
For what it's worth, I would say no to the amount that they want. I'm not stuck on anything in particular, but
Is there any changes we need? Well, we can save that till the end and get to the last item, and we can kind of summarize them all and see if there's any changes the council would request in the MDA as it's written. So item 4 is the requested reduction in transportation impact fees. So here are some reasons why. This exhibit shows some of the line work that was provided to us from UDOT for their future widening project. I spoke with the UDOT representatives today. This widening project will not be part of the Mountain View Corridor project. It's not included, it's going to be sometime after. They don't know when, they don't have funding for it, so up to possibly 10 years. They're gonna build the bridge to accommodate all this widening, but they're not going to widen 126. So UDOT will then acquire the right of way they need when they get to that point. And they'll go through their process. It'll be a jurisdictional transfer, it'll be their road by the time, currently it's our road. So the question is, that yellow area is the area most likely needed for their widening, unless they change their design between now and 10 years. And in that area, I don't think we should do a whole bunch of improvements and make lifetime put things in. It's gonna cost UDOT more money to do their road projects in the future, it seems. We've always get accused of not coordinating with other agencies, and then projects get done and they get torn up. Because UDOT could do this in 3 or 4 years, and then we'd have a bunch of work done that had to be done. So, talking with Lifetime, I laid out the street lighting. It would be 3 arterial street lights. They were willing to look at doing an asphalt path right along the curb, so it would connect from Maverick up to Mountain View. We currently don't have that connection. And then for the landscaping, just a rock mulch seeding. They could do more if they wanted to, but the requirement would be to kind of keep it minimum so that UDOT doesn't have to move a bunch of trees. And we definitely don't want any retaining walls or anything like that.
Can we offset their tree or vegetation that they're required to put in to their on-site vegetation, or they're increasing that already, or?
They have increased it quite a bit, but that's something we could definitely talk about.
Especially with the buffer, yeah, they've added a lot more.
Yeah, that vegetative buffer, they've added a lot of trees. And so, just more information to have as you make this determination is, I just compared this to any 13.6 acre site in the city if we were having other development on it. Not saying any of this would actually go on this site, but there was another 13.6 acre site, and we were looking at traffic impact fees. If a 40,000 square foot strip mall was placed on this, their impact fee would be 530,000. Theirs is calculated at 1.62 million.
Why?
Traffic volume is generated.
Because we're looking at hourly,
well, the amount of
Trips per
traffic
day.
that
Yeah,
they
so
generate
per day.
on the road.
Yeah, how many cars do they bring in and out of the site in a day?
See a 50,000 square foot office building, 221, then some housing,
office building for sure, but what about like a retail shopping center, grocery store?
that's the strip malls,
Strip mall.
530. You did 40,000 square feet there. You did a couple of them, you did about 1.6. Some of the other things is, so 126th will be jurisdictionally transferred. There's currently about almost $4 million in projects in our impact fee facilities plan for that road. UDOT will be doing those.
Right in, right out on that exit?
This will be right in, right out. This is their full access on Legacy. And then, as you heard just a few minutes ago, they're updating the master plan, which will be updating the impact fee. We've had a lot of requests for reduced or
Yeah.
deferred impact fees, cause our commercial impact fee is.
Yeah.
So they're requesting, see if I have that here. They're requesting, they'd pay $500,000 impact fee, they want to, if no requirements for, or no frontage improvements were required. If they do those 3 frontage improvements, they'd want to reduce them $350,000.
I'll say I came in to talk to Blake earlier. We looked at property tax from impact from something like this. You're looking at, to PD, you're probably looking, what did we say,
Probably between 60 and 80,000.
80,000 a year
A year.
to each PD and fire. I'm just saying that.
So you
What's the frequency of calls that we generally see for either of those
EMS
to a
yeah.
use like this?
Yeah, that type of use is a lot of it is car burglaries, right? Things getting stolen out of cars or lockers. So there certainly is a service demand there. I wouldn't say it's extensive, but it's definitely there for that type of a use of facility.
And did they come up with this $350,000 one, and then does that match what you think the trade-off cost is?
The 500,000 seemed to make a lot of sense, just comparing to what we had and what the UDOT jurisdictional transfer will take out of what we need to in the future.
The maintenance and impact on that road.
So, and adding the improvements, I mean, the path isn't existing there, and it might be a little challenging to get it in, just with the existing utility boxes and hydrants and slope that's there.
And that's a really key point, right, and why I really balked at these requests. And generally will in the future for one main reason, right? Is when it's easy to say, well, we want a business to come in and so let's reduce that impact fee. This isn't just numbers we're picking out of the sky, it's based on the volume, the impact on the road and the actual cost to our taxpayers. So if you don't make them pay it, it shifts that burden to the general fund and the taxpayers, right? So in this case, what does make it different is that there will be a jurisdictional transfer to UDOT that will be their responsibility, not ours or our residents. If that weren't the case, then I would say, why are we even talking about this?
Well, this is unique too, because I don't know what other use you put here. Like if, I mean, you're not gonna get a Walmart or anything going. I mean, it's just to weird in and out.
It's a great location.
Great for location for this, that's what I'm
Holy
saying,
smokes,
100%.
Yeah, that right in, right out really limits any retail here. I mean, retailers have passed on this site for years because of the access. So,
I'm not trying to push this too hard. We've got 8 minutes before we gotta go in.
The struggle I have is the precast wall. I love it. But knowing, and I looked on the map, it's all residential, privately owned properties. There's no common space. Such in my HOA, there was common space. Our vinyl fence got wrecked because our amenity was better on our side of the fence, so now we have a precast. It solved the issue. But that's all private property back there. I don't know if we're able to suggest fences vertically back so it blocks out that whole area. Nobody can get back there except maintenance or workers or landscapers. And so there's no public access back there. That's probably where I would lean to, in lieu of the fence, and do the 50-foot setback if they want. That's great, but maybe just put the end caps of the fencing.
next to the building, the
Yeah.
whole left.
That's a really good idea, Teddy.
Yeah, and it just locks it out. And they can be in the public space, in the parking lot, asphalt, but not in that. Nobody wants to be back there kicking rocks anyways. It's all drainage and
Just
landscape.
employees
It's a
or.
compromise, I think that's a fair
Yeah.
compromise one.
Very minimal cost, still creates that way.
I like
Is
that.
that, I mean, that was exactly what I was thinking, is that it's great to have maybe a little bit bigger setback and some landscaping, but then you're still having the problem of kids hanging out back there.
Yeah.
And taking fences in and doing all kinds of stuff, but if they're not able to hang out back there, then.
I know the one in South Jordan has fences on each side.
Yeah.
It's a road, but it's only for
Maintenance and service.
whoever's coming to service their equipment or take care of the pool.
So do something similar now with the fence, just on the,
And it could be a big double gate or however they need to access it. On the asphalt side, it'd be great, easy going in.
Not even a road back there, so I think it'd just be a mandate.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, cause they shouldn't have grass, so they're just mowers and blowers.
So I kind of said where I'm at, I'm okay on one, like we said with that, I like that requirement, I like that ask. Two, I don't have a problem with two. Three, I agree, I get brick, but I do think, I don't want to your point, there's other materials,
Yeah,
like, maybe just some
Some
detail,
vertical
just some-
metal or some architectural metal or something.
So because one of the challenges is the 60%, and maybe that's the request, is they wanna do less, are you asking for them to come to the 60%
No.
with other materials, or just add something to that?
Just something to break it
Show
up, just
me something that's a little more aesthetically pleasing than a wall of something.
Even if they took the metal around their storefront and windows and accented that throughout, broke it up a little bit or did something.
Are you thinking on intervals or just corners? Or
Some,
I'm not an
Something.
architect,
break it up.
It seems like the sides are where you get more monolithic, the back.
The front looks fine.
See, the front's fine, yeah, that's where I'm at,
the
the front's fine,
sides
just
and-
maybe on the sides a little bit.
The back I'm not too concerned about because it's just the houses back there.
I'm not-
And it's 50 feet away and they've got trees and landscape. I
So
don't
it's really
Adam,
the
what was the one we
sides.
required, just so they continue? on?
Mostly, well, even the side towards.
Front's a bit also
Oh, it's awesome.
monolithic.
No,
is
the
a
side
big
to the
turn.
pool is gonna have. But that's the freeway side. Everybody's gonna be looking at that side.
yeah, that's.
But it's
So-
kinda like,
But it's down, it is down.
Yeah, it's down. I guess you won't be seeing it. You'll be looking down vertically to the pool. The side coming up from towards the west and
See
east.
Maverick
or- Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
it's kinda like Bassett, like Adam's saying, it's kinda like we did with Bassett, we just asked them to continue some brick columns up a
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah.
it wasn't
Because
a crazy
you
annex.
got, even on the front right there, it's just a straight line across. It's a pretty big just wall.
But even if
and
they-
to your point, I'm actually more concerned about the ones that are.
Even if they took the
publicly-
vertical windows, that vertical metal through the windows straight up vertically, it broke up a lot of that stuff. Yeah. Well, on the front side or even on the
I'm not
yeah.
worried about the back, just front and
Yeah,
side,
front and sides.
just a little more verticality somewhere in there.
Blake and team, can you hear me on the line all right?
Yes,
This is Dan with Lifetime. I just wanted to chime in on a couple things. I've heard bits and pieces, so apologize if I've misinterpreted anything. But one thing to point out is some of our signage on the side elevations. It's showing as like a light silver here. We often make that like a darker bronze that matches some of these other materials. So I think that alone will help mitigate some of this concern.
Is that the street side or is that the highway side?
yeah, that's the highway
Okay.
side.
It's actually both. It's
Oh,
the
both.
highway and then the opposite side. It's on those two corners. And then I think with the window, is talking about the vertical banding. Would you guys be open to just using different colors? Like if we took that dark band and pulled that up with that same bronze color to help break up that mass,
Yeah.
that would help.
Yeah.
100%.
I think that's something we'd be open to exploring because again, these are materials that they're going to be viewed from pretty far away.
Yeah.
They're viewed from the highway. They're viewed from even our main frontage. We're set back a decent amount, so I think the color would go a long way just to help break that up.
Yeah.
Any ideas like that? Show us
Yep.
a couple of ideas.
The plan is to bring this agreement back to council on the 27th for requesting approval. And so we'll have those updated in that agreement.
Any other comments right now? I'm trying to, like I said, anytime the public's involved in it.
Did you hear about that the fence request, just making those laterals back to the vinyl from the building?
Yeah, I think that's a good
Okay.
compromise. It's a good idea to keep folks out of there. One thing we'd have to work through is just how that ties to the existing fence.
Yep.
I think that's a
The
small detail,
elevations.
but something we can work through.
The elevations are a little tricky, but.
Yep.
And I'm okay with.
I'm okay with all the
Yeah.
rest of it. I'm okay with the rest of it.
But I'm probably closer to that 500 or 530, whatever that is, on our normal 40,000 square foot retail.
500 and then no frontage improvements.
Just maybe that asphalt trail or whatever that looks like, I don't know, or reduction of that asphalt trail.
What do you mean by no improvements?
those three items. So that was what the request was, that they do all three of these temporary improvements.
Do we need those, the street lightings?
If you put in a pedestrian walkway, you
We would
would
have to,
yes.
Well, that's the thing, if you're talking, 10+ years.
What does it look like?
You need a pedestrian.
Right, what does it look like if they don't do that? It's just gonna be raw earth?
Probably just rock from the curb down,
I
with
don't
maybe
think-
some
yeah.
seating.
I think we gotta go to the 350 with those improvements.
Yeah, I would, that's probably where I, yeah, if that's the,
Do these temp improvements. And
Yep.
Meet the request.
and maintain them. Yeah. Whatever that looks, whatever our normal is, yeah.
That was still in working fashion all the way up until about 2 o'clock this afternoon, waiting for you to get back. Okay, I got a good direction, so I'll move forward with that. Dan, thank you.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being on.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we'll look for,
I'll make a motion, temporary recess work meeting. And go into the general session.
motion by Teddy,
Second.
second by Tara, all in favor? Sorry, Adam.
Does this mean that we're having a closed session tonight?
Yeah.
What are we doing?